Do you keep nearly everything in the refrigerator because you assume cold storage automatically means safer and fresher? What if I told you that some everyday foods can actually turn harmful when they're kept in the fridge? Many urologists, nutritionists, and neurologists warn that a handful of common items, when chilled, can remind your body of trouble releasing compounds that have been associated with cancer risk, cognitive decline, and serious irritation to the digestive system. In this video, we're revealing 5 familiar foods that should never be stored in your refrigerator, and by the end, you'll understand exactly why. These are the kinds of foods most people refrigerate out of habit, not realizing there's a hidden downside. The problem is that refrigeration doesn't just slow spoilage. For certain foods, cold temperatures can alter their chemistry. When that happens, their structure shifts, and that shift can encourage the formation of unwanted toxins or set off processes that strip away key nutrients your brain and body rely on. So, what you thought was playing it safe might actually be doing the opposite, quietly reducing the very benefits you want from your food, while increasing potential harm. Stay with us until the end, because the final food on this list is something almost every household puts in the fridge without thinking. And yet, it has been scientifically linked to long-term brain inflammation and gradual memory problems. Once you learn how to store these foods correctly, you'll do more than avoid risk. You'll protect your health and preserve the nutrients that support steady energy, a stronger body, and a sharper mind. Now you're ready. Let's begin. Number 5, bread. Bread is a daily staple in most households, but it's also one of the foods people store incorrectly more than almost anything else. Many families place bread in the refrigerator, believing it will stay fresh longer, yet this habit quietly ruins both texture and safety. Food science has shown that cold storage speeds up a process called starch retrogradation. In simple terms, the starch molecules begin to recrystallize, causing bread to become dry, tough, and depleted of the softness people associate with freshness. But the bigger issue is what often comes next. These conditions can encourage mold growth and the development of mycotoxin substances that have been associated with cancer risk, liver injury, and neurological decline. In a cold environment, bread can absorb moisture and begin to sweat inside its wrapping. That trapped moisture becomes fuel for microscopic fungi, especially species like Aspergillus and Penicillium. These molds can produce mycotoxins that you cannot see with your eyes. Some research has linked these toxins to brain inflammation and gradual memory decline in older adults. Many people assume that cutting off the visibly moldy section makes the rest of the loaf safe, but that is a dangerous misconception. The toxins and fungal spread can extend far beyond what is visible on the surface. So even slices that look perfectly fine may still carry trace amounts that can build up in the body over time. Refrigeration also changes how bread behaves inside the body. As the starch firms up, it can interfere with the natural fiber benefits that support digestion and steady blood sugar. Harder starch structures can be more difficult to break down, and this can lead to bloating, sluggishness, fatigue, and unstable glucose patterns. For older adults, especially those managing diabetes or cardiovascular issues, that instability can quietly worsen inflammation and oxidative stress, 2 major pathways associated with both cancer and dementia. A safer approach is simple. Keep bread at room temperature in a cool, dry place. Store it in a breathable material such as paper or linen rather than plastic, which traps humidity and encourages moisture buildup. If you've purchased more bread than you can finish within a few days, freezing is a much better option than refrigeration. Freeze the loaf or slices in airtight portions. Freezing helps preserve freshness and slows mold growth without the same damaging effect on bread structure that refrigeration causes. When you're ready to eat it, gently toast or warm the slices to restore a better texture and flavor. It also helps to consider what kind of bread you're bringing home. Highly processed white bread may contain preservatives that keep it on shelves longer, but those additives can irritate the gut for some people and often raise blood sugar more quickly. Whole grain breads or sourdough varieties are generally better choices because they contain more natural fiber and nutrients, and sourdough can provide beneficial compounds associated with gut support. Bread has been part of human life for thousands of years, long before refrigerators existed. Storing it in a natural way doesn't just protect safety, it helps preserve the nourishing qualities it was meant to provide, fresh, satisfying, and supportive to the body. Small habits like this matter more than most people realize. The foods we eat every day either support healing or quietly push the body toward harm. And something as basic as how you store your bread can tip that balance toward health or toward disease. Protect your brain and your body by keeping bread out of the refrigerator and storing it properly. What seems like a minor change today can become one of the most meaningful steps toward reducing the risks that steal memory, energy, and quality of life over time. Number 4. Garlic. Garlic is widely celebrated for supporting immunity, helping lower blood pressure, and protecting the heart. But what many people don't realize is that placing garlic in the refrigerator can dramatically alter its chemistry, turning a food known for healing into something that may carry risks. When garlic sits in cold, moist air for extended periods, it often begins to sprout and form a green core. That sprouting phase can shift the sulfur compounds inside the clove in ways that irritate the digestive system. And when heated during cooking, it may produce unwanted byproducts that are associated with oxidative stress in the body. Cold storage can also interfere with garlic's ability to produce allicin, the compound responsible for many of its antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-cancer benefits. In lower temperatures, the enzymes involved become less active, so even if the cloves look normal on the outside, their nutritional strength is reduced. People often notice that refrigerated garlic develops a harsher, more bitter taste. That bitterness is not just a flavor issue. It can be a sign that chemical changes are taking place. Over time, consuming garlic in this altered state may contribute to chronic inflammation, one of the major pathways connected to both cancer and dementia. There is also the issue of mold and microbial growth. Garlic stored in the refrigerator can easily absorb excess moisture, and that damp environment encourages unwanted bacteria. One concern often mentioned is the risk of Clostridium-related contamination, the type of bacteria associated with botulism, a potentially life-threatening condition. Even when garlic appears fine, invisible spores can form. Once consumed, toxins from this kind of contamination can affect the nervous system. For older adults, especially those with weaker immune defenses, the consequences can be far more serious. So, what is the safest way to store garlic? Keep whole bulbs in a cool, dry, well-ventilated spot, such as a hanging basket or an open bowl on the counter. Avoid plastic bags or tightly sealed containers that trap moisture. Garlic needs airflow. Stored correctly, whole bulbs can last for weeks, and sometimes even months, maintaining both their flavor and their protective qualities. If you have already peeled or chopped garlic, you can refrigerate it briefly in a tightly sealed glass jar with a thin layer of olive oil, but only for a few days. The oil helps limit air exposure, yet it must be used quickly to reduce the risk of bacterial growth. Garlic works best when its natural oils, enzymes, and antioxidants remain balanced and intact. Refrigeration can disturb that balance, weakening what makes garlic beneficial in the first place. Think of garlic as a living remedy. It performs best at room temperature, not in cold, damp storage. When you store it correctly, you preserve its ability to fight inflammation, support brain health, and protect the heart. Something as simple as keeping garlic dry and breathable on your countertop can quietly become one of your strongest daily defenses. If you're still watching and these tips are helping you, comment number 4 below so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs and inspires. Number 3, tomatoes. Tomatoes are another everyday food that should not be kept in the refrigerator. Yet this is one of the most common storage mistakes in almost every home. The moment tomatoes are exposed to cold, the enzymes responsible for their fragrance and rich flavor begin to break down, and the damage goes beyond taste. Chilling also reduces the protective antioxidants that help shield your body from inflammation and disease. One of the most important of these is lycopene, a well-known compound associated with lowering the risk of heart disease, certain cancers, and even age-related decline in brain function. When cold temperatures disrupt a tomato's internal structure, the fruit starts to lose water and firmness. The cell membranes become damaged, the flesh turns soft and dull, and the texture can become unpleasantly mushy. That's why refrigerated tomatoes often taste flat, overly sour, or simply lifeless. It isn't just a bad tomato, it's a sign of chemical breakdown. Food science research has reported that storing tomatoes below 50 degrees for more than 2 days can reduce antioxidant content dramatically, in some cases by around half. For older adults, that means missing nutrients that support cognition and protect against oxidative stress, a process strongly linked to conditions like dementia and cancer. There's another concern as well, and it involves bacteria. Refrigerators often contain condensation and tiny amounts of moisture, especially around produce drawers. Tomatoes have delicate skin, and when they absorb that moisture, the surface can become a suitable environment for bacterial growth, including bacteria such as listeria. For seniors, especially those with weaker immune defenses, infections from these types of bacteria can become serious. And the risk is deceptive because you may not see obvious spoilage or smell anything unusual, yet contamination can still be present and harmful over time. Tomatoes do best at moderate temperatures. Keep them at room temperature stem side up on a countertop or in a paper bag away from direct sunlight. If they're ripening too quickly, move them to a cooler area of the home, but not a cold one. That way they stay flavorful while holding on to the nutrients your body needs. Once a tomato has been sliced, refrigeration can be used briefly. Place the cut tomato in a sealed glass container and keep it only for about a day, then eat it as soon as possible. Tomatoes are one of nature's most valuable foods for heart and brain support, but refrigeration can weaken their natural benefits. The flavor you lose is not just a culinary issue, it's a reduction in the compounds that help protect your memory, your skin, and your immune system. Every time you allow tomatoes to ripen naturally on your counter, you're giving your body access to the full range of their vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. This is why food scientists sometimes describe certain produce as living foods, because they continue to breathe, ripen, and develop their nourishing compounds after harvest. Tomatoes are a perfect example. Keeping them out of the refrigerator preserves more than taste. It helps preserve your health and your longevity. Your brain and your body benefit far more from a tomato that is fresh, vibrant, and nutrient-rich than one that has been chilled and stripped of its natural strength. Number 2, onions. A lot of people automatically place onions in the refrigerator, assuming the cold will help them stay fresh. But keeping onions in the fridge can actually make them unsafe over time. Onions naturally pull in moisture and bacteria from the surrounding air. When they sit in the refrigerator's humid environment, they often start breaking down faster instead of lasting longer. As they degrade, sulfur-based compounds can increase and shift the onion's chemistry. That change doesn't just affect flavor, it can irritate the stomach, and according to recent findings, may contribute to ongoing inflammation in the body, one of the underlying drivers linked to many serious diseases, including cancer and dementia. Once an onion takes on excess moisture, its texture begins to soften and turn watery. As the layers start to decay, mold spores and harmful microorganisms can develop in ways that are easy to miss at first glance. The danger isn't only that the onion spoils as it deteriorates, it can release gases that affect other foods stored nearby. That's why one improperly stored onion can influence the entire refrigerator environment and potentially impact the freshness and safety of surrounding items. Refrigeration can also reduce the benefits people expect from onions in the first place. Onions contain natural antioxidants, including quercetin, which helps protect the brain from oxidative stress and supports memory. In colder, damp conditions, onion cell walls break down more quickly, and that breakdown allows nutrients to oxidize and lose strength. So the fridge doesn't only remind your onion of softness and spoilage, It can also strip away the very protective compounds that help fight aging and disease. End-short refrigerating onions often weakens both their taste and their nutritional value, while increasing the risk of unwanted microbial growth. The safest storage method is simple: keep onions in a cool, dry location with plenty of airflow. A mesh bag, paper sack, or woven basket works well because it lets the onions breathe and stay usable for weeks. Keep them out of direct sunlight and avoid storing them next to potatoes because potatoes release gases that speed up onion spoilage. If you've already sliced an onion and need to save the remainder, you can refrigerate it briefly, but do it the right way. Wrap it tightly in a dry paper towel, place it in a sealed container, and keep it in the refrigerator for only 1 to 2 days. Beyond that, the chance of bacterial growth rises sharply. Also pay attention to smell. Onions kept in the refrigerator too long often develop a harsh, lingering odor. Even before obvious spoilage appears, that strong scent is not just unpleasant. It's a warning sign that the onion's chemical balance is shifting, and that it may no longer be as safe or as nutritious as you think. Your body and brain depend on antioxidants to resist inflammation and degeneration. Keeping onions properly stored, fresh and free from harmful breakdown, is a small habit with a big payoff. Fresh onions don't just improve the flavor of your meals, they help support a sharper mind and a stronger immune system. Number 1, potatoes. Potatoes are often the first thing people toss into the refrigerator, assuming the cold will keep them fresher for longer. But food safety professionals and nutrition experts warn that chilling potatoes can set off an unwanted reaction inside the tuber. In cold temperatures, the potato begins converting its natural starch into sugar, and that's where the risk starts. When those extra sugars are later hit with high heat, whether you fry them, bake them, or roast them, they can react with amino acids and create acrylamide, a compound that has been associated with cancer risk and nervous system harm. Acrylamide doesn't announce itself. There's no strange odor, no obvious taste, no visible clue. You can't sense it in the kitchen, music. Yet, repeated exposure can quietly accumulate over time. Some researchers warn that frequent intake, especially in older adults, may increase the likelihood of a cognitive decline and could contribute to dementia by damaging sensitive nerve cells in the brain. So, something that feels as harmless as storing potatoes, the safe way can, over the years, work against you in ways you may not notice until much later. Potatoes do best in a cool, dark, dry environment, not in a cold one. A pantry, a basement shelf, or a paper bag kept inside a cabinet away from sunlight is ideal. The goal is a moderate temperature, not refrigeration level cold. Stored properly, potatoes stay firm and keep their nutritional value without building up the extra sugars that create problems during cooking later on. There's another issue with refrigerating potatoes, and it shows up in digestion. Once starch is converted into sugar, the way your body processes that potato changes. It can contribute to sharper blood sugar spikes, which is especially risky for anyone dealing with diabetes or insulin resistance. Keeping potatoes out of the refrigerator supports not just long-term brain health, but also steadier blood sugar, better energy balance, and smoother digestion. And if you notice your potatoes sprouting or developing green areas, treat that as a serious warning sign. Those changes can indicate solanine, a toxic compound known to cause nausea, and in severe cases, neurological symptoms. The refrigerator can speed this up, music, by stressing the potato and accelerating deterioration. Make it a habit to check them regularly. Discard any that are soft, heavily sprouted, or green, and purchase smaller amounts so you use them while they're still fresh. A small change moving potatoes from the fridge to a dark cabinet can significantly reduce your exposure to harmful compounds and help your body run more comfortably day to day. Think of it as a quiet kind of self-care, simple, practical, and surprisingly powerful in protecting your health with every meal. And now you know the truth most people never hear. It's not only what you eat that matters, it's how you store it. Potatoes, onions, tomatoes, garlic, and bread can all become less nutritious, easier to spoil, or even riskier when kept in the wrong environment. These are small, everyday habits. But over time, they shape your digestion, your inflammation levels, your brain health, and your long-term vitality. So here's your simple takeaway store. Foods the way they were meant to be stored. Let potatoes and onions breathe in a dry, dark place. Keep tomatoes at room temperature so they stay alive and nutrient-rich. Store garlic dry and ventilated so it keeps its natural power. And keep bread out of the fridge, freeze it instead if you need it to last. These changes take almost no effort, but they can protect your body in a very real way. If this video helped you do one thing for me, share it with someone you care about, a parent, a spouse, a friend, because most people are harming their food without realizing it. And if you want more science-backed tips that keep your mind sharp and your body strong, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Now comment I'm in. If you're going to change at least one storage habit starting today, your future self will thank you.